Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another nightly recap right here. We got Raymond Lyons and Wilson Tarpey Jr. And again, welcome to NBA Outlook Recap. These are done nightly. Well, we try our best to do them nightly. But Ray, 6 games of NBA action today. What did you think of the? Where do you want to start? We'll let you choose. Dealer's choice.
We can start at the top. Miami and Toronto.
Okay.
Um, man, Toronto 3-0 in the bubble.
Man, it's
Um,
almost like what is this thing with, I don't know, teams that win championships being completely ignored, written off, completely disrespected, and thrown away to be discarded as if they have no worth?
at least it's equal opportunity ignorance on the women and the men's side.
You know what? For once, equality, right?
But nah, man, this was a good one. Toronto looked like they was about to run away with it for a second, but Miami came out in the third quarter, and that 3-point shot started falling, and we know how quickly that can change things. Toronto started off a little shaky, had problems holding on to the ball, but they weathered that storm and got through it. Miami bench, man,
Hmm.
they held down. They had 53 of their 103 points.
Goodness.
Without that spark from the second unit, like this could have been ugly. Jimmy Butler was quiet. Goran Dragic though, he had some real heavy plays down the stretch. Got a couple timely buckets. Took a charge on Fred Van Vliet, like 45 seconds left to go in the game. Then she nearly finished the 3-point play on the next possession. So he was huge for them, but that's not a surprise. We all know what he does. But Van Vliet, man,
Hmm.
at his career high tonight, 36 points. He got right to it. The 3-point shot was falling. He was getting to the basket, creating, finishing at the rim. Man, just couldn't do anything with him. Um, but yeah, it was a highly competitive game. Like when I'm watching it, like I'm just looking at the game, and then I glance at the score, and Toronto would be up like double digits, and it just wouldn't seem like it. They were just going at it. Miami they made it competitive, and you really can't ask for much more than that. Jay Crowder also definitely got to shout him out. He really came on in the fourth quarter. He was pretty much silent until then, but he hit back-to-back threes in the midst of a Miami 10-0 run that put him up for a second. So yeah, Toronto just edged them out. They were able to be a little more clean and disciplined down the stretch. So what you think about this one?
Yeah, I mean, literally what you said is two teams that are very good defensively, right? So even if someone gets a lead, basketball is a game of runs. And teams that are able to lock up like that, those runs tend to come, when you go on runs, those runs last a little longer. Uh, you know, we were playing around during the years go, the past few years of Golden State. For them, you could, however many up or however many they were down by, you would just split it by the multiple of threes that needed to be hit, right? For teams like Toronto and Miami, it's literally like, oh, they're 5 stops down, they're 3 stops down. Sorry, 5 stops, 7 stops, and good defensive teams, 7 stops is not an unheard of thing to happen or
Right.
something out of the ordinary. It is for bad defensive teams, but good defensive teams, cool, we get 5 stops, string together 5 stops. All right, cool, no problem. But yeah, it was fun watching. You know, two teams deal with two really good defenses. Um, for the next game, the Nuggets and the Thunder. The Nuggets win 121-113. Michael Porter Jr. career high 37 points to go with 12 rebounds. The new skinny Joker, which is still throwing me every time I see him. I have not fully accepted the evolution of Nikola Jokic, but he had a triple double. This game did go to overtime. And credit OKC, it's a group that um, they've hooped this year. Cardell and I were talking on NBA Outlook this past week when, we shared our coach of the year, things like that. Um, the, the Thunder's coach was in the running, and one of the reasons he was in the running was because of the job that was done this year.
Right.
But yeah, man. And for the Nuggets, you want to talk about a loaded roster? They were missing Jamal Murray, Will Barton, and Gary Harris.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy, and they still put on the performance that they did. I thought not having Will Barton would hurt them. He just gives them a little more a different look. He's versatile, explosive, athletic. Um, if anybody watching just doesn't have a rundown of what he can do, just check out Cardale's probe episode on him.
Yes.
So it's just a very thorough breakdown of how he impacts that team. So not having him hurt and adversely on the OKC side, not having Terrence Ferguson kind of impact them the exact same way. He pretty much gives them the same thing Will Barton gives to the Nuggets. But yeah, this was a good one, man. Tightly contested first quarter. Both teams were solid. OKC was doing a good job getting open looks. The ball just wasn't going in.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of different as the way you're having, sloppy possessions and you're just not playing well. It gives you a little more optimism.
Right.
Like eventually it's gonna go down. If you're swinging it, somebody gets a wide open look, they just miss. You feel good about that. And OKC also, they were a little depleted as well. As I mentioned, they didn't have Ferguson. Also didn't have Dennis Schroeder, which is big for them because when CP3 got to take his break, Schroeder usually comes in and steadies their ship. And they do use SGA a lot at point guard, but he had foul trouble.
Right.
So they had those stretches where they really didn't have a floor general out there, and it showed. That it happens. They just got to find a way to fight through it. Darius Baisley had some moments. He looked good in stretches. As you mentioned, Michael Porter Jr., they just couldn't do anything with him tonight. He started off first quarter on fire. Calmed down a little bit, but in the fourth quarter, he got right back to it. And OT as well, that pretty much, settled the game for them. And Joker in overtime was just too much. He did his thing crafty around the basket, finding guys. I think he came out of overtime and scored like 6 or 8 straight, something like that.
Yeah.
So, and the announcers pointed out quite often during the game, they called a lot of fouls. So, when in a game like that, where they're heavy on the whistle, you don't get a lot of time to, get fast breaks and get some easy ones. Your offensive execution's got to be on 1,000. And for the most part, both of these teams did really well in their half-court sets.
That was definitely a really good one. And shout out to Denver for a game like this where both teams are executing well offensively. They were the ones that finally got stops in overtime. That was the biggest difference. They won over the extra period 12-4, and stops. Some point it always matters, right? All right, this next one, the Pacers beat the Wizards 110-100. Folks need to put respect on Tony Warren Jr.'s name, aka T.J. Warren. My man had 53 points a couple games ago, 34 on the Wizards. And then the Pacers, like this game was literally decided in the third quarter when the Pacers went on a 22-2 run. 22-2 run. And with the win, the Pacers pulled within a game of the Heat for fourth place in the East. Already mentioned T.J. Warren having 34, Brogdon throwing 20, Aaron Holiday and Miles Turner with 17 apiece. Thomas Bryant had another good game, 20 and 11, another double-double. Jerome Robinson throwing 17. Shabazz Napier had 16. But I want to hear your thoughts on the Pacers' start to bubble play.
Man, they're looking good. T.J. Warren is just out of his mind right now. And if you're a scoring wing, your eyes just gotta light up when you play the Wizards. That's just what it is. They're not good defensively. They haven't been all year. And especially with him coming off that 53-pointer, you can only imagine that it's going to continue going into this game. Um, Pacers, I mean, they only Depot hasn't been available. Demonis Sabonis hasn't been available. Brogdon's a little hamper right now, but they're still finding a way to get it done. Um, they both teams they started out shooting poorly, but eventually Indy kind of got it going, and Wizards just weren't able to keep pace. Rui, man, he's got to find his mojo again. He struggled for the second game in a row. Um, I don't know what it is. He just looks like a completely different player. He looks lost on defense. He's not able to get to his spots on offense like he was earlier. He was utilizing the mid range really well. He was posting up people like a lot of times today. He had Aaron Holiday on, and I don't know what the mishap was. But he just couldn't put him on his back and get easy baskets, which he had been doing, throughout the season and in the early parts of the restart. But I'm sure they'll go over that in film and he'll get back on track.
All right, moving on to the Pelicans and the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies, they're off to a really bad start in the bubble play, right? This loss moved them to 0-3. They were led by Jaren Jackson's 22 points, but it was a tough one for them. Um, Similar to we were just talking about with a couple teams executing well down the stretch. The Pelicans closed the game 12-6 down the stretch. It was a tightly contested game, rather. And, Brandon Ingram had 24 points. Zion had 23. Just down the stretch, the Pelicans executed, and the Grizzlies did the exact opposite on both ends in terms of execution. And one of the things we saw even tonight is, Zion still playing in these little 5-minute bursts or things like that. Before, I think early in the fourth quarter, he was when he was on the court, he looked gassed for a second. They took him out for a little bit, gave him a blow, but he was on the court to close the game. So they kind of fixed the error from I think the first game they had down in the bubble where he was on the court watching during winning time. Um, that played a role in why they were able to get it done down the stretch. Just him being on the floor, him as a screener, him as a cutter. There were a lot of times when he was in the game tonight, just little things. Timely cuts are huge for your teammates. Bi gets stuck or JJ's going through the paint. We know JJ's limited in what he's about to do. All right, so a timely cut definitely helps. And the other thing is him getting downhill and attacking the basket wears out opposing teams' big front lines. Valanciunas wasn't on the court because one of the times Zion comes crashing down the lane, that was the man's sixth foul. But yeah, what do you think about Memphis and what it looks like right now for them?
Man, I love them so much because they fight so hard. They keep pressure on you at all times. Don't take any plays off, but they gotta learn how to close these things out. Like it works in their favor that they walk in the gym with resiliency. That's a skill within itself that can't be overlooked. It's one of those intangible things that like no coach is going to be able to give you that. So it's good that they already have it, but the mental side it's got to catch up, or they're going to continue to drop games like this. They lost 3 games in a row that they easily could have won. That's not good. They got to figure that out. They got to be more composed. They got to make better decisions in the waning moments of games. Jaren Jackson's still looking good. He's been going to work down here. John Morant had a tough game. He struggled mightily on offense. But man, Bi, he's been killing all season. And Zion, with the menace thing, like he does look like he's dragging sometimes after he's been out there for a little bit. But you just got to be smart about it. Give him a blow, and he's got to be out there when the game's on the line. I mean, that's just what it is. He's
Yeah,
one of the best players on the team. You got to have him out there. You can't have him on the bench when the game is being decided.
right. That's kind of the thing with the restriction. You get to kind of guide those minutes to make them available when you need them most, right? And the other thing, I've seen a lot of people, tweeting, talking crazy about his conditioning, and he just looks fat and all this other type of stuff. as we've been talking about both leagues, both the NBA side, WNBA side, players need game reps to get their game legs. It's even harder to get your game legs when you're playing a little 5 minute burst. It's hard to. You're not even out there long enough to sustain it or fight through it. Like he had to come out. His wind was gone that quick. It was just going. But before we move on, I want to talk about why this win was so important for the Pelicans. They're now 2.5 games behind the eighth place Grizzlies. The ninth place team can qualify for a play-in matchup against the eighth place team as long as it's within 4 games. The Pelicans obviously still need to move past the Spurs and Trailblazers to get to ninth place, but they're still alive. That's why this win was something that the Grizzlies can do. The Grizzlies can afford to lose any games, period, because
Right.
you didn't want to. You have teams behind you, people are chasing you. But in terms of why it was important for the Pelicans, just wanted to share that. All right, we got 2 more games on the night: the 76ers and Spurs. Uh, all I have to say with the 76ers, for a team that has more than enough capable defenders, their defense has been trash since the restart. It's all yours, sir. You can talk about what
Man,
happened.
dude, like they gave up 43 in the fourth quarter tonight. They gave up 46 in the fourth quarter. Like they were very lucky to win this game. They're shake built three away from losing. They got to figure that out. Like and like you said, they got tons of capable defenders. So what's the issue? Like I would see if they just had people that were bad on defense.
Right.
That's something different. But it's inexcusable at this point. So I don't know what Brett Brown's going to do to get that situated. But I mean, they got to fix that because that's not going to fly. Um, some positives. Embiid, he was great tonight. He led Philly at 27, 9, and 5. I think the biggest thing for him was the way he attacked the double team. He wasn't just he was catching the ball, making quick decisions, making good decisions. I'm pretty sure he was welcoming the idea of playing the Spurs front line without Aldridge, and he took advantage of them, which is what he should have did. They Philly threw in a little wrinkle. They started running that Tobias Harris, Al Horford pick and roll. Tobias did really good making decisions off that. He found Al Horford a couple times for easy layups. Then the Spurs started trying to jump it, just kick that thing out to the corner for open shots. So yeah, that's good reading recognition for him. The Spurs, they let one slip. DeRozan had 30, Rudy Gay had 24, Derek White gave him 20, Keldon Johnson, former Boo Williams guy, he had 15 as well. They look a little different than we're used to seeing them.
Right.
When you think of the Spurs, you think ball movement, cutting, and things like that. But now they're just spacing the floor and attacking guys with athletic wings. And if it works, it works. Wow. It as much as made of Pop's system and how his teams usually operate, you gotta adjust to your personnel.
Right.
Especially with Aldridge being out. He was a key part of that with his versatility. He can catch the ball at the elbow, and he's a great passer from that position, or he can work out the low block. But with him out, you gotta do something different. They are short-handed, but they're 2-1 so far. Easily could be 3-0. So they got a little bit of a defensive problem too, but I'm sure they'll come around and fix that. But it's not all gloom and doom. Things are looking up for them a little bit.
All right, moving on to the last game of the night, aka the Anthony Davis Show.
Lord.
The Anthony Davis Showcase, Anthony Davis Experience. You can throw on whatever words you want to behind Anthony Davis, and it pretty much will work tonight. Jazz fans may not like it, but might as well give them stock in the team after the night. The Lakers beat the Jazz 116-108. LA clinches first seed in the West with tonight's win. Anthony Davis impact on both ends. The man was everywhere. This is why, again, no disrespect to the person he plays with, he's the,
Get it out, man. Get it out.
he's the more credible MVP candidate on that roster. Leave me alone, Ray. Uh, but he went to work tonight. 42 points, 12 rebounds, 3 steals, and a block. Ron had a nice 22, 9, and 8. Kind of, he's still getting back into the swing of things, but even as he gets back into it, honestly, like, if I'm LA, man, it's an AD I trust until the wheels go off, right? It's that simple. Tonight, what he did was amazing. They kind of get to, with him at the 5, or even at the 4, depending on what team they're playing, kind of get to just, you get to dictate the matchups to a large degree, especially against a team like Utah where you got Gobert who has a lot of size, but we've seen in the past, anytime teams have some type of player, if you have your own unicorn that can take Gobert out in the deep water, things get dicey for the Jazz. And tonight was one of those nights. It was a closely contested game for the most part. Then the Lakers went on a 19-5 run to close the third quarter. 21 turnovers for the Jazz, and you can't turn the ball over that many times against the Lakers. They are a good defensive team. Both LA teams are good defensive teams. 21 turnovers is just like, here, free points, and that's exactly what it was, essentially. Um, Before I hand this over, I just want to say for the Jazz, Donovan had 33. It wasn't an efficient 33. Conley had 24, and Gobert was the next highest with 16. And the biggest thing that stands out to me with the Jazz is they dearly, dearly, dearly need a wing with size that can create and score. Obviously, that's easier said than done, but boy, do they need one of those. The floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, just there's too much AD. He came out getting to the money early. Um, Now I kind of expect him to come out aggressive, seeing how he played the other night.
Yeah,
You know, when a player his caliber has an off game, it's typically hell to pay for the next team, and he smacked them all night. There was just nothing they could do about it. Yeah, Jazz, they're missing Bogdanovich
yep,
badly. He's a floor spacer for them to give Donovan lanes, um, and they need to shoot it. Like they were 28% from three tonight, and they shot 43 of them. So that's obviously a deficiency they have with Bogdanovich gone for the restart due to his wrist injury. Um, but yeah, for the most part, they hung in there until the Lakers kind of spread out on them, and that was because of those turnovers you talked about. Let the Lakers get out and run, get some easy ones, and once that happens and your blood starts flowing, your energy picks up. You're a little more hands-on on defense. The basket gets a little bigger, and if the other team can't do anything to kind of halt the momentum, it's off to the races, and that's basically what happened. But in the fourth quarter, the Jazz they were aggressive early and got the Lakers in foul trouble, and they got into the penalty, so they were able to kind of keep it manageable, getting to the line, getting points and stopping the clock, to give themselves a little more time. But yeah, they just ran out of steam. And the Lakers made some big plays. Utah was on an 8-0 run. Then Kuzma hit a big three, to stop them in their tracks. That kind of stopped the train right there. If you don't make that shot, who knows? Like Utah was on the roll, and that three just sucked the life out of them. But yeah, just Anthony Davis, man. That's really all there is to this game.
yep.
Not much more.
That's it. That's the tweet. That's the message. Anthony Davis uh, for the nightcap of tonight's action of the association. All right, for Raymond Lyons, Wilson Tarpe Jr., and I obviously want to tell you guys, uh, follow the Focus social media accounts, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, obviously. And then if you get a chance, if you're already following us, feel free to subscribe, become a patron of ours. We got some exclusive content for you guys already. Both the first NBA Outlook show and WNBA Outlook show. They're part of that exclusive content in their entirety. They're sitting over there just waiting for you guys. But we will see you guys tomorrow night because the Focus TV happens. I can't even say tomorrow night. We will see you later this evening, right? Focus TV airs tonight at 8 p.m. We will see you guys then. You guys have a great one.